Well, hi friends, I'm Brian Cosby. This is Provide and Protect, and today we are doing an unboxing and assembly of this Woodland Mills Multilander ATV trailer. So let's get into it. So before we actually get into the unboxing and assembly of this trailer, I want to explain a little bit of the rationale why we purchased this and maybe why you're watching this and considering purchasing one too. And the reason is we are putting in a sawmill way over there in the woods, and we needed to be able to get logs out of the woods easily through the trees. We need to be able to put all of the wood chips into something like a dump trailer. Now, I have a big dump trailer right there, and that's fine, except you can't get into very tight spaces. And that's a problem for a lot of the things that we do, and going in and out of these tight trees that we have on our property. But we will get the logs out of the woods. We'll be able to put firewood into this trailer. We'll be able to chip up. I want to turn you around here just for a second. So all these treetops over here next to my chipper, we got to be able to chip all those up and put those into some kind of dump trailer. And again, we've used this other dump trailer that's behind me here, but I just can't get into tight spaces, and getting that dump trailer into our garden is real pain, very difficult. So having something that's more maneuverable, like behind an ATV or a UTV, is much more, I don't know, it's just better for us. It's easier for us. So the sawdust from the sawmill, the wood chips, firewood, dirt, logs, all of those kinds of things. We also have a lot of goats and chickens, and we will sometimes go through and get all of the manure out, and to be able to just shovel all that stuff into a dump trailer and then put that onto the garden will be so much easier. So those are the reasons why we went with this. Now, this is Woodland Mills. Bring you in here. Woodland Mills. This is the Multilander. So it has double axles. They are walking, and so they move independently over rough terrain. And so we'll have another video on the use of this as well. But Woodland Mills, they make a lot of, obviously, sawmill kind of equipment. That's where we got our sawmill from as well, the HM 126. And we'll have some videos on that coming up too. But I want to be able to use this for a wide variety of purposes, and I think this would be helpful for you. So one comment on the shipping, it did come via FedEx, and we put some forks on the front of a tractor, and that's how we got it down here underneath this shed. So it is pretty heavy. I'll put a link to it down below so you can kind of see the specs on the weight and all of that. But it has this really pretty beefy cage that it's in, and so it made it pretty easy, and there's no problems just picking this up with some forks if you have a forklift or if you have a tractor with some forks on it. All right, so I've got everything unboxed now, and just a couple of things I noticed in doing that. One is that everything is well packaged. I mean, all this stuff has bubble wrap, which is also a fun thing, but all of this has bubble wrap all around this, and you saw that all these bigger pieces were completely covered in that kind of foam paper stuff, and also the cardboard. So everything was well protected. I don't know I guess those are all the bolts and that kind of stuff, hardware in those. This is the manual, and I'll show you this in just a little bit as we get going. But they said this very detailed instructions, so we'll have to see as we assemble this. Pretty beefy tires, kind of like that. But yeah, there's the crate. That was heavy. One thing I did notice on the negative side is, and it must have been as they were packaging this, but I don't know if you can tell, there is a little bend right there. And then I noticed on the other side here, pick this up, got a little mark right there, if you can see that. So that must have happened maybe before they packaged it. I don't know. But I did notice those two things as I was, but that's it. That's really the only part that I noticed that was, I don't know, bent or messed up. So, but we will open up the manual here and get this assembled. So sure enough, in these boxes, all the hardware, the hitch, all the bolts, washers, that kind of stuff. You know, it does come with a winch, so you can hoist the bed up, tilt the bed up, and also get logs into the bed as well. So that's all of that. I did glance at the operator's manual, and I did find, let me zoom out here, did find it is very detailed, just like people said. And although, here's the thing, I've not seen any video out there on the unboxing and assembly, so this is a first. I couldn't find anything on it. But yeah, step by step, step one, frame, and you go all the way through this. I'm not going to show you all these parts here, but it's color coded, nice paper. So it does look like the owner's manual is I don't know, pretty high quality. So that's what it's going to look like, hopefully, after we're all finished. So one quick tip, they mentioned it might be easier to get some blocks. I have some leftover 4x6s in my shop, so I just grabbed those real quick. And I think the reason they say that is because you got to clamp these brace pieces here on the bottom and that one on the top. And it's be tough if this is just lying on the ground to be able to do that. So I did brace this up, and that might be helpful for you as well. So here it is, all assembled, complete. I'll do a quick walk around here for you. So I do have a few things I want to mention about this and the assembly. I will say, number one, it's good to have a trash bag. So highly recommend having a trash bag nearby. And that's all the trash, not the cardboard, of course, but all the other trash. The cardboard was nice. So if you don't want to scuff up the actual paint on the trailer, go ahead and put some cardboard down. Like I said, it has all that bubble wrap, but when you unpack it, you want to put it down on something that won't damage the actual paint. I know this is going to be through all the woods and having logs and everything else, but you know, you don't want to start out with it all being scratched up. So trash bag and cardboard. I will also say a few tools that I found very handy to have. One is a good socket set. This one is by Tecton, yeah. So great socket set. I'll put a link for that down below. It's one of my favorites, and I usually just have this in my shop, but as you can see, I can just close it up and take it anywhere. The other couple tools I'd highly recommend having are these wrenches, and here's some Imperial SAE, and then we've got some metric underneath it. So these roll up, and again, I usually keep these in my shop as well, but these are nice. I'll leave a link, and then some Allen wrenches, and you're gonna need to have some of these. So I've got the metric. I've also got just the Imperial SAE kind as well. I never used these. I've only used the metric for this project. So, but both of those are highly handy. And of course, just your normal tool bag. And again, I've got a video on this bag and everything I take in this. And I just bring this with me everywhere around the property. You want to have a cordless, impact driver or drill or something with you, be pretty handy. Oh yeah, and I've got my grease gun here, and the reason is because after you're finished, they have grease fittings, Zerks, different places. For example, you got one right there. See it on there? You got one on the inside, unfortunately, on the inside of all of these tires here. So it's a little bit of a pain. And also to get to that one, a normal grease gun won't fit between this rib right here and the Zerk. So you have to raise the bed up to be able to do it. And then final one that you have as far as a grease fitting is right here for this swivel head. So I'm going to do a full video on the trailer and review and operation. But again, the idea is that you can crank this up and it raises the bed. And if you want to go to a higher degree angle, you just raise this up. And you take the pin out, or I guess this pin out. This is telescopic. So you take this pin out, raise that all the way up, and it will raise the dump bed up more. It also has, you saw me put these on, but you can simply undo these latches down here on both sides, and the bottom of this will swing out. So if you have gravel or dirt that you want to spread and more evenly across the space, this bottom part will swing out. The top part here is in these little grooves, and it'll just stay put. So you can take these out all the way, of course, or you can just unlatch the bottom when you dump. So, but again, I'll do a fuller, more complete review at some point. Let me say one comment about the instructions. They were fantastic. Every part of this was very easy to follow. You can see what the new part is you're supposed to do. I did find 2 errors in this. So Woodland Mills, if you're watching this, I did find 2 errors. One on page 28, right here. So it says 14 millimeter. There were no 14 millimeter screws. but there were 16 millimeter. So so M8 by 16 millimeter. So that's one error that I found, and the 16 works perfect. So I don't know if it was just typo or not, but that's one. The other took me a little while to figure out, but it's on page 35. And here it was calling, so for this section was the bracketry, and it said that we were supposed to have this 60 millimeter bolt right here. Well, if you look through the instructions for this section, there's a 70 millimeter, there's 65, this was 65 here, there's no 60 millimeter, there's 65 there. There was no 60 millimeter used, and so what I found is that this is supposed to be 60 millimeter. So those are the two errors I found going through this process, and that was it though. But very clear instructions, no problem really with the whole thing, other than those two small issues. It just took me a minute to figure out, I think they're wrong, and sure enough, that was just fine. And so anyway, great time doing this. My boys came out and helped me yesterday afternoon for a little bit, so it was good to spend some time with them. But we'll do another video and the use, and see how we can use this on the property here. Well, thanks so much for joining me today. Hope this has been helpful for you. If you've not already done so, please consider hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate you and your support, and we'll see you on the next video.